The advice and opinions expressed by Dr. Granpeesheh and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. My son had so many behavioral issues with his therapist during his recent session, exceptionally bad with her. She believes that all of this is coming from his need to control everything. The issue is that if she asks him to do something and he refuses, she will just continue to repeat the same request over and over and over again, and it will continue to escalate. It's awful. If her analysis is correct, and it might be, to be honest, I'm not sure that this is the right way to proceed. Can you please tell me how can we work around his need to control everything? How can I help him? Thank you very much for everything you do for us. I love you both. We love you back.
Hi, Munia. Okay,
Yeah.
so she could be right that he's trying to control things. She could even possibly be doing the right thing, but I'm not sure. And I don't want to, I would never tell you to just let it be and see what happens, because I think you've watched enough of it where it's a little disturbing. Yeah. So you refer to her as a therapist, so I assume that you also have a supervisor. Let us know if you do, because this is where you need someone else to observe what's going on. And, you know, when a child has issues, whatever the issues might be, let's say it's an issue with wanting to control the situation, I will figure out other ways to give the child a little bit more control. So, for example, I will give the child the ability to select the next activity for the whole day. And that allows the child to feel like, oh, they're in charge of what we're working on today. I never want to get to a point where it's like a battle, because you kind of want to, there's no point. You're not trying to tame the child. You know what I mean? You're trying to teach the child. So if it becomes like a battle, you need the therapist, and the BCBA would possibly tell them this, needs to back off, make it simpler, make it shorter so that the child is successful, reward more. Whenever a child becomes really like stubborn, obstinate about something, they're clearly getting more attention from being stubborn than the reward of doing the right thing. And you always want to make sure that your child is motivated only by the reward of doing the right thing, as opposed to pissing you off, right? And that's what it sounds like. So what the therapist should be doing is revamping the whole thing so that it's a new structure. It allows your child to have more control over the choices. It is shorter, gives him more rewards, and then gradually starts to increase it. The other thing I wanted to say is, whenever a child gets upset with repetition, he could be bored.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big issue. So please pay attention to that as well. Sometimes people don't realize how it's easy to miss how intelligent our kids are because they don't overtly show it. They don't overtly communicate about the things that are going on in their head. And he might just be bored because the repetition is too much. With children like that, we have taken like we have like this thing where we say someone has mastered something if it's 80 to 90% correct over X number of trials. Like, that's how we establish that it's mastered. We might move the needle on that, and we might say, you know what, this child gets bored. I'm going to assume it's mastered at 70%, and I will check on it later on, because I don't want the child to get frustrated because he's repeating something. So those are other things to check out. And I don't know if you have the ability, but just like we were just talking to Johanny, it's very helpful to have some sort of IQ or a neuropsych test, because it really tells you how a child is learning and what are their strengths and weaknesses. And that'll tell you if it's a control issue, if they're bored, if they are in need of more assistance around whatever this particular subject is. So it could be any of those things.
Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.